Hey y'all, and welcome back to my channel, Journey with Wendy. If you are new to my channel, welcome, and please consider subscribing to my channel. Watch a couple videos and see what I'm about, and then from there, just jump right on head first into this thing and be like, oh, I want to be part of Team Wendy. For those of you who are not new, welcome back to my channel. So today, by the title, I'm sure you want to know why I dun, 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 join the army. And so basically the reason why was because when I was 14 and we moved from Texas to Louisiana because that was my mom's second duty station. And so in us going there, yeah, I got shorts on. It's hot. You know what I'm saying? It's hot in the state that I live in. And so I just couldn't do it today. It's over 100 degrees. And so I was like, Saints, I just can't. These are my only pair of shorts jean shorts that I have. I have basketball shorts, but we won't talk about those right now. But so from the age of 14 till about 14 to 17, I lived in Louisiana. And so at the time, my mom was a single parent. It was just her, and that's what a single parent is. Duh. So my dad lived in Texas, and my mom, my brother, and I, we lived in Louisiana. So at the time, like, being from where I'm from, like, the most people aspired to do was they want to move to Dallas. Like, everybody wants to move to Dallas. Like, oh, I'm going to move to Dallas and I'm going to do this. But, a lot of those people that did, it's only a couple of people that I know that moved to Dallas that are still in Dallas, and they're, and they're doing well. And so with that, I was like, well, I knew I didn't want to go to school. I knew for sure that college was not an option for me. I was like, I just did 12 years of school. I'm not I'm not going to do 12 more years of school. And so I was just like, okay, well, I have to do something. And so part of the reason why I went into the military was because I knew, well, okay, back up. So I did want to go to school. I wanted to go to Grambling State University. And I actually had a scholarship through the state to go to school. And so I was like, yeah, I didn't know anything about college, though. I didn't know nothing about majors. I didn't know nothing about minors. I didn't know anything about anything. I didn't know that you had to pay to live on campus. I didn't know you had to pay for your food, because just coming from high school, everything is done for you. So I was like, I don't really know if I want to do college, because I had a friend, she graduated a year early. And so, she was up there at Grambling. And so I was like, okay, I can go up there with Big J. I can go with Big J up there. And so then the reality started setting in. And I was like, well, I can go to school, but I know that I'm not going to want to get a job. And so, and my mom, like I said, my mom was a single parent, and she had my brother still too. So I was like, well, I don't want to be a burden. I don't want to burden her with, me calling and needing money and needing all this stuff. So I was like, okay, well, maybe I could, I got to figure out something I got to do, because I left Louisiana after my junior year was finished. And so my senior year, I finished out in Texas. And so it was around about my birthday. I turned 18. And so I was like, okay, well, what are you going to do? Because you got to do something, because graduation is so close. And so I was like graduation was in May. And so I was like, well, you have to do something. You know what I mean? Like, either you're going to go to school, what school you going to go to, what are you going to do? And so finally, school was no longer an option. Like, I was no longer in Louisiana, and I was in Texas. And so, Texas is the schools in Texas are it's so many. And so I was like, well, I ain't really trying to fail at this thing. It was some people I knew going to UNT. They was like, University of North Texas. They was like, yeah, come to UNT. You can go to UNT. I'm like, it's in Dallas. Dallas is not someplace where I want to, be at. So finally I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go, and I'm going to go see a recruiter. And so I went to go see my recruiter. Shout out to my recruiter. I don't know where he at, but he was a pretty good guy. And so I went in and I had taken the ASVAB in Louisiana, but I didn't do well on it because, I was just like, I'm just doing, I was just taking the test to get out of class. You take the test, you can get out of class. So I was like, well, I ain't trying to be in this class anyway. It's boring. So I'm going to just go ahead and I'm going to take this test. So I didn't do well at all. So when I went and took the test in Texas, the recruiter was like, yeah, you're going to have to take it again. And this time you need to, concentrate. So I was like, who are you talking to? Cause I'm good in school. All right, okay, man, please. Cause the ASVAB, taking the ASVAB, and I don't know, it's not a vocational test. It's an aptitude test. So you don't know what I'm about to tell you. So it's about mechanics. It's about engineering. It's a lot of different math. It's a lot of stuff that, you're not really taught in school that goes into the ASVAB. And so basically, the higher you score, the better jobs that you get. And so I went in and I didn't listen to anything that he said, of course. So when I did that, I qualified for some jobs, but I don't know all the jobs that I qualified for, like supply. I was like, supply? I was like, that doesn't sound cool. I'm going by what sounds cool, right? So I was like, supply doesn't sound cool. I was like, I don't want to do that. I was like, that sounds whack. So then he said some other stuff that I had qualified for. And so finally he said MP, which is military police. And so I was like, oh, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to become an MP. And so I went on November 18th, 2000. I remember the day because I remember days that changed my life. Like I'm more subjective to remember the dates. And so, but the one day that changed my life for sure, we'll talk about that one later. But so I went to MEPS. That's where, you do all your testing at. So you do your physical, they do a physical, and you got to walk like a duck and do all kind of like put your body in all kind of different tests. And so, I did pretty good on that. And so, the lady wasn't my recruiter. The lady's like, yeah, MP. I was like, yeah, let's do MP. So I called my mom because my mom was actually in Korea. So that's a big thing to note as well. So I was living with my grandmother at the time. And so, my grandmother, she didn't talk to me about school. She didn't talk to me about anything, like what did I want to do in life or nothing like that. Like I made the decision to go to the Army on my own. And so fast forward and going back to Louisiana before we get into the Met story. So, I'm 14. Okay. And so basically when we would ride around, and so we had this car called Casper. It was a 1992 Cutlass Sierra. It was white. And so that car, and the interior was blue. Okay. And so we had so many memories in Casper. So while we're riding, that's what we used to call it. So while we ride in Casper, you got all these soldiers and stuff like that. They ride around, they got rims and, bumping music. Cause people still bump music to this day, but it's nowhere near the way that it was back in 1998, 1999. And so I'm like, dang, okay. So basically I didn't know with my young self, okay? I didn't really know. She didn't know, okay? I didn't know that you could rent rims. You know what I'm saying? Because one week you would see people with rims, and then, the next week they wouldn't have rims. So their rims would get repossessed. I didn't know nothing about that. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, well, to me, it appeared that, even with them having their rims repossessed or whatever, it appeared to me that, they're doing it and they're doing it on their own. And so I was like, well, I want to, I want to be self-sufficient. I don't want to have to rely on my mom. And so, because I never wanted to be a burden to her. Not that I was a burden to her, and she would never tell me that I was a burden, but I was just like, I don't want to, put her in a situation to where, anything. I didn't want to do that. And so, and then people, they were living in housing, and I didn't know anything, guys. I didn't know anything. I didn't ask any questions. We would go over to these people's houses, and like in the different housing communities, you know what I'm saying? You got Timber Ridge, that's where we used to stay, Timber Ridge. You had Dogwood, where most of the people stayed, and then you had old housing. And when I say old housing, y'all, it was old. It was like, it was old. Like, I was so thankful that we didn't live in old housing. You had North Fort Polk. And so nobody really went on North Fort Polk. If you lived on North Fort Polk, like, I don't know who you are. You know, if you watching this, my bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, because it wasn't nothing out there, like, but field space and ranges and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, well, it appears that, you know, these people are self-sufficient. And me, you know, being who I am, all right, we'll just leave that right there. You know, I would be in these soldiers' barracks. And so I'm like, oh, I'm like, you know, I didn't know nothing, y'all. I keep saying that, but y'all like, you knew. I did not know. I didn't know. So, you know, they got their own furniture in the barracks. I didn't know that was government property. You know what I mean? And they had these big, huge TVs and stuff. And so finally, I went to MEPS or whatever. So I was like, I want to be an MP. So my mom, she ended up calling us or something. Somehow, some way, word got to her that I had enlisted into the Army. And so basically what I did was I did the delayed entry program. And because I was serious, I was like, this is something that I'm going to do. I'm going to do this delayed entry program. And then when I graduate, then I'm going to go to, you know, basic training and advanced individual training. And I'll have my first duty station. So I was talking to my mom about it, and she was like, oh, I don't know if she wasn't, I can't remember if she wasn't for it. I don't believe that I heard anything negative from her per se, but I did hear a lot of negative stuff from other people. But even with that negativity, you know, it kind of fueled me a little bit because I'm like, you don't even know me like that. You know what I'm saying? You don't know me. You don't know my life. And so my mom was like, well, you don't want to be an MP because MPs carry around a 25 pound belt. You know, the belts that the police wear, the MPs have those. And so apparently it was 25 pounds. And when she said that, I was like, ooh, that's not what I want to do. No, 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 no. So then she was like, you know, do something like supply or something like that. And so I was like, okay. And so I went back to my recruiter. I talked to him about supply. And so I was like, well, this is what I want to do. And so the only thing that they had was 92 Alpha. And that is an automated logistical specialist. And so I was like, all right, cool. And so I was scheduled to go to basic training in July. So I graduated in May, and then I was scheduled to go to basic in July. And so basically, initially, I went in to not be a burden to my mom. And then also I went in for the college money because at the time they were given, I don't know. I don't really know how much it was. I don't think it's as much as it is today. But I was like, well, I know eventually I am going to need to go to college. And so going to college can, you know, open up more opportunities for me. So I was like, I'll just go in, do my 4 years, and then I'll get out. And so when I did that, so that's what my mindset was. My mindset was that I'm just here for the college money. Like, I ain't here for all this extra, all this other stuff. Big Gwen ain't here for it. And I was serious too. And so, you know, I went into the Army to better myself, you know, because I saw how well the Army was doing my mom. Because my mom, you know, she went from having Casper, which was the 1992 Cutlass Sierra. And it's, okay, y'all, it's 1998, 1999. By the time I went in, it was 2000. Okay. We had Casper for a minute. I'll never forget. We got it from Alford Motors. She went in, she got it. We got in the car, and that was it. You know, it was a used car lot that she got it from. But when she came back from Korea for my graduation, she had got rid of Casper, and then she had I think it was a 99 Maxima. I don't really think she liked the Maxima, but she, you know, it was something to do. And then, you know, from there, she got her truck. So I'm like, well, because when we were in Texas and, you know, we were living as a cohesive family, like, we didn't have much. And so I was like, well, my mom is progressing in rank. You know, she was progressing with the stuff she had. And yes, it was very, like, I guess my mindset because I'm an 18-year-old kid. You know what I mean? So my mindset was very materialistic. You know, and so I was just looking like, okay, what can I get out of the Army? Like, I wasn't looking for, you know, the experience and the camaraderie and even later on what, you know, salvation to come from the Army. But what I do know about my about me going into the army, and this is for sure. I didn't know it at first, but I was given a revelation a little bit later. Is that when I went into the army, I was searching for something. I was searching for something or someone that I knew that I could not get. So I thought, I knew that I could not get to whatever it was that I was searching for unless I left Abilene. So in leaving Abilene, initially with my mom, that's what set it up because, my mom never went back. And so I was like, okay, so you can get out of Abilene. And that was my biggest thing. And I'm not knocking her down to anybody that lives there. But for me, I was like, it's got to be more. There has to be more. It's got to be more here in life than, just living. It has to be more. And so, and there was more, and there is more. And essentially, what I was looking for is I was looking for Jesus. I didn't know that He is who I was looking for. I didn't know that, me going from state to state and country to country, I didn't know that the thing that I was missing, that I was searching for so long for, and keep in mind, didn't want. We'll get to that. That story will come. But I, it was something more that I needed, and the more that I needed was Jesus. And I didn't know how to articulate it. It wasn't until I met a man of God who is a real man of God who expressed to me that he is who I seek, that He is who I've been looking for. And I praise the Lord for destiny because a date with destiny will change your life. And so those are the reasons. That's the main reason that I went into the army, and I did 13 years, 11 months, and 7 days in the army, y'all. Okay, I wasn't no E4. You know what I'm saying? I was a staff sergeant. I had been accepted to recruiter school, like not once but twice. Okay, so I was doing, what I was supposed to be doing. It still wasn't fulfilling. Like it still wasn't enough. I was like, it still has to be more out there. I had a child, I had a relationship, I had all these things, but I still wasn't fulfilled. And so I'm like, okay, like what's missing? What's happening? The story is to come. I can't give y'all everything because if I give you everything, then you'd be like, oh, okay, well, she ain't got nothing else to talk about. But and so if you're having that feeling, if it seems that you have accumulated all of that you have accumulated, if it seems that you have reached each and every goal that you have set for yourself, and even goals that you didn't know that you set for yourself, and there's still more in which you think that you need and more in which you're seeking, are Jesus. You know what I mean? And it don't have to, like, you don't have to. When I got saved, I wasn't in a church. There was nobody there. It was just me crying out to the Lord, opening up my heart and allowing Him to come inside. And because you guys can be like, well, how did you open your heart? I don't know. I don't have a formula. E does not equal MC squared. 1 plus 1 don't equal 2. I can't tell you. I don't know. I just know I was having a conversation with the man who is now my senior pastor through text message. And I still have those text messages to this day. I'm getting choked up because it's real to me. Like salvation is the realest outside of everything that I've ever known. Salvation is real. And I know you guys are like, well, you said, why did you go in the army? I'm telling you why I went into the army, because I needed Jesus. And I could only get to Jesus with going to the army. That's what I believe. I believe that I had to go to each and every duty station, meet each and every one of y'all, you know what I mean? And not even just going to the army, like even with just being in Abilene, even with being in Louisiana, you know what I mean? Like meeting each one of you guys was a step closer to getting to Jesus. So if I had not met you guys, I almost said y'all names. You won't get me sued on it, no. But in meeting each one of you guys, and you know who you are. You know what I mean? You know who you are from Abilene. You know what I mean? From Holiday Hills. You know who you are from Louisiana. You know who you are from the various duty stations that I had in the Army. So all of those events, all of those encounters, all of those times where people were coming up to me, and y'all know who y'all are. When y'all was talking to me about Jesus, my brother for sure, my brother and his church, I was like, I don't want to hear nothing about Jesus. I don't want your Jesus juice. I don't want to hug you. I was just so, oof. I don't see how people put up with me, but by the grace of God. Leave you guys with, on a serious note though, I want to leave you guys with Romans 10 and 9. And so the scripture verse states that if you confess with your mouth and believe in your heart that Jesus is Lord, then you shall be saved. And you'll know, because from that moment where, and you ain't got to do nothing fancy. I was in my house by myself. And so I just cried out to God, prayed to God, and it was an experience with Him that I hold so dear. I hold it so dear because it's so life changing. So if you like the song, the Donnie McClurkin song, because I ain't finna get copyrighted. But after you done all you can, try Jesus. Give him a try. See what he's about. And then more videos will come, but you don't have to get everything right, because if you could get everything right, if you could, stop doing what you're doing, then what would we need Jesus for? So it's not about, you stopping, smoking, drinking, cussing, fighting, sex, and it's not about that. Because in due time, he'll take those from you. You know what I mean? He'll take those things from you and give you more of him. And so my email is in the about column. If you're interested and you really want to know about how Jesus changed my life, email me. I will respond, and I can talk to you about this thing. And if there are any questions or answers that I don't know, I can go and seek wisdom for you. Because to me, outside of all these videos, your soul is more important. You going home to be with Jesus is more important to me than anything else. And so I know you guys are probably like, well, she's been talking about this for 5 minutes, because it's real. Jesus is real, and he saves, he heals, he restores, he forgives. So, because there's so many falsities about Jesus. We're not going to deal with the falsities right now, but just give him your heart. Just give him a try. Just see what he's about. Get with a real man or woman of God for real. You know what I mean? Because when you meet a real man or woman of God, your life will change one way or the other. And I don't know who I'm speaking to today, but whoever you are, all you have to do is fall on your knees and pray and ask God to come into your heart. Ask him to show you who he is and who he is for real. Ask him to remove all the fakeness and all the phoniness and all the things that you have built up in your mind about who Jesus is. Because it's not about religion. It's about relationship. Get to a Bible-based church, because it's not about populating my church. It's about populating the kingdom of heaven. And so, I implore you, I beseech you to just give Jesus a try.